Hello, it's Philip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers in London. This morning I'm looking at a book which has come to us from LexisNexis and TOLLEY'S. It's one of a new series of books which they've produced, which they call Techwise. And these are very useful books because they're trying to put the tax issues that we have to face in a relatively simple, straightforward manner and explain it as best they can. And I think they've succeeded with what they've done with this series. We're reviewing a number of books. I believe there are half a dozen in the series at the moment, but the one I'm looking at this morning is on inheritance tax, and the title is TOLLEY'S Techwise Inheritance Tax 2014 to 15. It's this book here. It's been written by the TOLLEY'S exam training team. That's the book there. And you've got on the back a little bit there, spine. It's not a heavy book, it's a paperback. It runs to just 180 pages, something like that. There's the index at the back. Now at the front, do read, there's the little bit at the front there, and then there's that bit. Do have a look at the comments they make right at the beginning about the introduction. It tells you what the purpose of this book is, and it tells you really what they're aiming to do, because obviously it's quite a technical area. There are 26 chapters in total. You can see the table of contents there. And let me just go into it. You've got illustrative examples which are in shaded boxed areas, which are extremely helpful. There's paragraph numbering at the sides, which you can see there, and there is, to a certain extent, footnoting. And footnoting follows each paragraph numbering, so it's a bit easier to find in what can be a problem area. There's a lot of examples, as you can see, all the way through. And we come to the end. Here we go. There's another bit there about what happens if you don't tell them about various things. Again, a lot of footnoting. And then right at the end, claiming various other things there, payment of tax instalments. And as I say, we then get to the index at the back again. Light book, not too heavy. Very good. I've been very impressed with these. Now, Elizabeth and I have written a review which we think is probably a nice balance between the very heavy legal stuff for revenue law, which is stuff we deal with as counsel, obviously, in some cases, if you're specialists. But you do need to have a general understanding of what this area of taxation is about. Inheritance tax being controversial, like all of them, but it can be, people get quite angry sometimes about this area of law, so they do need to know what the rules are. And in other words, you plan. It's not about anything other than trying to plan what you're going to do to make sure that everything is in order. Now, we give it the title of this book, New from TOLLEY'S, an accessible guide to inheritance tax for experts and non-experts alike. And this is what we say. Decade after decade, TOLLEY'S tax annuals have kept practitioners up to date with the inevitable changes in tax legislation. But then you already know that if you are a legal practitioner or an accountant or an advisor who obviously relies on their work, titles. However, you should also know about TOLLEY'S Techwise publications. They're a newly launched series on tax from TOLLEY'S designed to make your life as a practitioner or advisor just a little bit easier. And I think they do. And that's one of the reasons I like this. The examples are good, it's clear, it's straight to the point, and you've also got the authoritative backup with the statute law and everything else. So it's pretty good. That's in the footnotes. So it's pretty good all-round stuff. Now, at the moment, the Techwise series consists, as we understand it, of 3 manuals, but in fact I believe there are going to be more than that in the future, each covering a specific area of law. Our comments focus here on the one entitled Inheritance Tax 2014 to 15. It's also important to note that there are other Techwise manuals on income tax and capital gains tax and other areas of law as well, but we're concentrating on the 3 that are probably the most important for us. As TOLLEY'S explain, Techwise offers the same trusted and reliable analysis of the law and its practical application as the familiar tax annuals that we know and love, but in more concise and accessible form with the Techwise series. They offer a plain-speaking, practical approach to all or most problems or issues that you or your clients might have on tax, and in this case it's inheritance tax. It might be somewhat inaccurate to call Techwise a précis or a digest of the tax annuals, because they're actually not that. They're more of a learning, actually a teaching tool in my view. Each Techwise publication, including this one on inheritance tax, deals with all facets of the subject in a clear and comprehensive manner, with the main criteria pertaining to the subject carefully examined and explained. Devices such as flowcharts and the illustrative examples and boxed shaded sections are designed to demonstrate graphically the way in which specific tax principles work in practice. Now, within its 26 chapters, Tolley's Techwise Inheritance Tax 2014 to 15 covers every pertinent aspect of this often complex subject, from chargeable and lifetime transfers to business and agricultural property, to the various types of relief, to final payment of the tax, the instalment option, and of course much more. Find that towards the back of the book. Fully up to date with the provisions of the Finance Act 2014, Tolley's Techwise Inheritance Tax 2014 is written by experts in the Tolley exam training team, which for over 10 years has been running courses and writing course material for tax examinations. The main advantage of this manual is that it uncomplicates the often complicated issues relating to inheritance tax, and is therefore accessible and useful for experts and non-experts alike in our view. For tax advisors and their clients, therefore, we think that Techwise as a series is an essential purchase. As I've said, we started off with 3. There seem to be about half a dozen that are appearing now to cover the main areas of taxation, and I welcome all of them because they're a great help to us. Let me just show you the book again. There it is. It's a light book, it's not very heavy. Just going in the middle of it, let's find a beginning. Yes, what you do have, each of the chapters, chapter 13, this one, lucky for some, at the beginning you have effectively what is a learning outcome. In other words, it says this is fall-in value relief. There we go. What you've got is you've got a statement, a very short statement about what the chapter contains and what you're going to get out of it. So it is a learning outcome. Additional tax on death, there's another one there, for instance. And as I say, you do have useful illustrative examples, and you do have, after the paragraph numbering, you have the footnotes. Well, I'd like to thank the Tolley's exam team very much indeed for producing this book, and for Lexis for overseeing it all. It's very helpful to us. I appreciate this additional support that you give us, because without this sort of information, we make our task much harder when we're advising clients. So thank you to all concerned. Bye-bye.